Life isn't perfect, and neither are we.
Nope. But we know how to face our fears
And have some fun.
and talk about all the messiest things of life.
Like the messiest things.
Get connected to yourself, get connected to others, and get connected to the life right in front of you.
This is The Connected Life with Justin and Abi.
That's me.
That's you.
And oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, are you excited?
I'm so excited about so many things.
Super big deal. A lot of good stuff happening right now. Hey, everybody.
Specifically right now.
In this moment, we are in our new podcasting room in our house.
I tried to find your feet to play feetsy with you because I thought, what if that was the thing that we said was so awesome? I was like, what if it was just the super awesome things happening right now? I'm touching Justin's feet, but I can't find your feet over there.
We're in our new podcasting room, which I announced on our last episode with Jason. It was our first podcast we did, which was a great one.
I've never done one with you in this room with this setup.
No, you haven't.
But you know what?
What?
There's 0 decorations in this room.
There is. They're not here yet. But talking of decorations, you guys, we want you to know this before we get going. Justin's working on some beautiful background paper.
Maybe
wallpaper.
we should ask people what they think. Like we should post it and be like, how many of you think this is a good idea or a bad idea?
It's a fantastic idea. And I have already anyone who okay, we're going to start doing video in the coming new year is our hopes. That's what we're working towards, getting everything set up for that.
Yep.
Which means that each of us has our own background that really expresses our personality. Mine is going to be this beautiful wallpaper. It's green and cream
gross.
wallpaper, which is trees and aliens abducting people.
The funny thing is like, I like your quirky self. Like, I like the idea of it. If you just did like a square of it in a frame, so it wasn't the entire wall, it's pretty busy. It's busy and I have to look at it. You don't have to look at it. It's behind you.
You're going to be busy looking at my face.
I'm going to be distracted from your face looking at this whole wall of intense wallpaper.
Yeah, totally. Tip your mic towards you a little bit more.
Okay.
There you go. Anyways.
That's what my husband always says.
That doesn't make sense. Okay, everybody, guess what? So this is episode 199, right? 199. Next week is our 200th episode.
Whoa.
We may have a big surprise for you then.
Oh.
I can't guarantee anything. We'll come up with it between now and then. But our big surprise this week is we are right now, to our podcast listeners, launching the early bird for Living Fully Alive. And with the early bird registration for our once a year, you get monies off. You can get on and you can save $100 by using the code EARLYBIRD2023.
Oh.
And so you guys have heard us talk about Living Fully Alive. It's our once a year course. It's coming up.
It's our bestseller.
Yes.
It's what we recommend if you want to be a life consultant. We have so many people that weren't sure if they want to do life consulting yet fully. We have our year-long school. LFA, Living Fully Alive, is where we tell people to start. And it's also if you want to kind of get breakthrough and get out of the ruts you're in. We've had thousands of people go through it now, and people say this is like they'd pay 10 times what they paid for it. It's changed their entire life. They've done it with families, groups. They've done it with church groups, friend groups, whatever. And we have a lot of people who've done it with their friend groups. That's the best case scenario.
And we have a lot of people who've done it with their friend groups multiple times, gone back through the refreshing of it and just been like, no, this is good. It fires up conversations and healing processes. Oh yeah, it's kind of the cool thing. We give discounts for people who've already gone through it. And so you do it once, you can do it whenever you want after that. Yep. For an amazing discounted rate. For an amazing deal. So that's going to start January 11th is going to be the actual start date, but signups are beginning now. Early bird, one week only. 1 week. Putting monies in your back pocket. Okay. With that said, we have a podcast that I love having conversations around this because it's something that I really dove deep into in my own personal life. This is like your life theme. This and grit. Yes. If I was going to define Justin Stumble by 3 things. By 10 things. No, but if I was to describe you in 3 ways. My sexual prowess. If I was going to describe you in 3 ways, it would be grit, facing your fears, and urinate. You're innate?
You're an 8.
Urinate. What?
Yeah. No, not urinate. No. On the Enneagram
I am an
number.
Enneagram 8.
You're an Enneagram number 8 because you're so loyal. You're so good-hearted. And you're also straightforward.
Straight shooter.
You're a straight shooter.
Bang, 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 bang. You just got finger gunned. So
one day when we have video, people are going to watch you finger gun me. Sounds dirty, doesn't it? It wasn't, though.
No, it wasn't. This is weird. So one of the things that I want to talk about.
One day people are going to watch you finger gun me. That's just cracking me up.
She's high on life, people. Speaking of being high on life, if you really want to come fully alive, you should get into living fully. No, but today we want to talk about conquering 9 common fears.
Oh,
there are 9 common fears that we have assessed. There's more than this, but these are foundational that we look at and we go, these are the pretty 9 common ones that come up. We've worked with thousands of people one-on-one and
in group settings.
And these are the common themes that always come up inside of people's lives. And I want to start with kind of talking about at least my own personal life, and Abby can inject some of her own there.
I got a little ADHD when I was thinking, like, I wonder when we can say we've worked with tens of thousands of people. 10,000. I was like, we should do the math because we might be getting close.
There's no squirrel here. Okay. Stops being squirrely on me.
Okay, there's 9 common fears, but I think there's one fear that rules them all, which makes me think of Lord of the Rings.
Well, we'll talk about that one. We'll talk about the one fear that rules them all.
One ring to rule them all.
Dude, shut up. We're going to talk about that one foundational fear at the end here.
Oh.
But before we get into these 9 common fears, I want to talk about the journey of facing fear for me.
Yeah, that's good.
And I don't know about Abby. She may have some to inject here. But she's had massive transformation. She's just along for the ride today. I'm just going to tell you. Like, she'll just hang out in the background.
I'm at least happy.
You're sound fodder. That's great. You're sound fodder for me to bounce off of.
Go ahead.
So in my
tell us about your fears, baby.
In my mid-20s, right before you and I got married, I had this emotional feeling, like this internal like voice that suddenly started to echo inside me, and it was like, fear is the gateway between us and the destiny of who we're created to be. And so when I realized, when I heard that and felt that, I was like, okay, if fear is this doorway that I need to move through, actually pass through in order to become Justin, to see my dreams manifest and to see my authentic personality come out, I was like, I have to be willing to face fears. Mm-hmm. And I have to figure out what my greatest fears are inside of me that are driving me.
And then purposefully run through them instead of away from them.
Yeah, absolutely. And so my first thing was, all right, I am willing to face my greatest fears no matter what it costs me. Bring it on. It was the yes. It was the invitational yes.
It's really, I think this is important to mention that we can actually make intentional emotional decisions that create a framework for our life. So you deciding, I'm going to run at my fear. Fear is what is between me and who I am made to be and what I'm made to do. And that decision of when fear comes, I'm going to run at it. You can make a decision in a moment where those aren't there. And then you can actually follow through when the intense moments come, because you've already created a framework. You've already created the yes inside of you.
And the truth is one of the greatest lies about fear that it sells us is that if we have enough of it, the things that we don't want to happen won't. Right. So if I'm scared of financial ruin, that's the thing that's going to protect me.
If I am anxious enough, if I'm always fretting enough, if I'm paying attention to fear and all the things that could go wrong, and I'm hyper vigilant enough, I'll be able to protect myself.
But that's just not true. It still happens. So why not create a lifestyle of embracing facing fear? Like, I just want to face all the greatest fears. I will head first into it. And so these things are going to naturally begin to happen in my life. And if I'm willing to face them already, then there's more pain. Pain is intensified when something that we don't want to happen is happening.
Mm-hmm.
If I've accepted like, hey, this thing is going to happen potentially in my life, these fears are going to happen. They're going to, like, the actual things are going to happen. Okay. There's less pain. I have now lowered my pain level because I'm not being tormented by like, I don't want this to happen. I don't want it to happen. It's happening. I don't want it to happen. I'm not tormented by the disappointment.
Well, you're talking about an emotional concept that I wish more people taught on, which is resistance.
Right.
The more we resist certain, like resistance versus acceptance. And I'm never talking about like laying down, like, oh, I guess I'm just going to lose everything, so it doesn't matter. I might as well spend everything. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that surrendered place of, I am going to be okay whether this happens or whether this happens. When I'm working with people on their fears, I'm like, yeah, we actually have zero control over if things happen. You know, like I have a friend who's like, I'm terrified of getting sick. I'm like, you might get sick someday.
Yeah.
That's actually true. You might not. If you focus all of the time about that, you have a high chance of finding yourself there, because we can definitely get into cycles where we head towards the thing we're focusing all the time. But you also, if you focus on resisting it all the time, you're still focusing on it all the time. Like whether you're trying to resist.
I'm more tormented by the idea of focusing on resisting something than if I just like don't sit in resistance and I get to have a whole bunch of peace until it happens anyways.
Well, and the idea would be fear tells you I'm not going to be okay if this happens.
Yeah.
Versus the belief of I'm going to be okay no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And it might take me a while. I remember, you know, Courtney, she's one of our master consultants. She's amazing. And she came to me about 6.5 years ago. And her dad got really sick all of a sudden, and they were running tests and they found out that he had cancer. And her greatest fear her whole life was that her dad was going to die of cancer. Not of cancer, but just her dad was going to die. That was her fear her whole life. And the advice I gave her, I feel really proud of. I don't always give good advice, but sometimes. But I was like, honestly, I don't know what's going to happen with your dad. Yeah. He may die. Because I think what we want to do in moments where people have fear or pain, we want to tell them that will never happen.
This isn't going to happen. You're good. Just like,
but I knew I can't control that.
I can't predict that. Yeah.
I can't predict that. So what I said is it may happen, but I want you to know that if your dad lives or if he dies, you are going to be okay. Yeah. And the thing we need to focus on is for you to get to find what you need to be okay, no matter what happens outside of you. And I think most people aren't aware of that. I actually remember the moment it clicked for me. I was at an event and they were talking about feelings. Honestly, they were talking about that feeling you get when something good happens for someone else and you feel sad because you feel like you're unworthy of it. Right. And I know that feeling so much because I used to struggle with it all the time, where like something good would happen for somebody. And it wasn't that I wasn't happy for them. I was very happy for good things to happen to people. It's just that simultaneously when they were sharing something good, I would feel this deep sense of like, I will never have good things because I'm less than them. Right. Like that kind of life is for someone else besides me. And somehow they were describing that feeling in the meeting. And then they described the answer isn't to get things so that you feel okay. The answer is to recognize that the feeling of I'm not okay is living inside of you, and to get love and peace and safety to that feeling. And something clicked for me that most of my panic in my life has been the fear of I'm not going to be okay. I'm not going to be okay. I'm not going to be okay. And what I wanted was I wanted to make millions of dollars for that feeling to go away. I wanted to have friends who were all super loyal, who'd never betray me for that feeling to go away. I wanted to have peace in our life for that to go away. And I've learned that we often want an external answer completely to fix the fear that we have. Yeah. Instead of what I have learned, even especially through going through PTSD and recognizing that honestly, what I need, what my body and my emotions need much more is resource and connection to love. And I have power over that at all times.
Being connected to love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because love pushes out fear.
Yeah. Fear and love don't coexist. They simply don't. Like when you actually get connected to love, fear gets driven out. It dissipates and it starts going. And love isn't like the romantic ooey gooey love. It's the sense of like, there is a value to me. There is something that created me that has value for me. And I'm so tethered to that care that this reassurance happens that like, oh, you know what? Something so much bigger than me is involved inside of my story, and it's capable of repairing the messiness of my humanity. It's capable of redeeming all the broken situations that can happen. Like as I say yes to being willing to face pain inside of my soul, there's a repair that happens all of a sudden inside of me. And so the truth is, no matter how big, like how bad the fears that I don't want to face, like how bad they are that actually come through my life, pain can get resolved. I know now I have history that says pain is going to get resolved no matter how big it is, no matter how problematic the situation is. The pain that comes from that situation has a roadway to resolution at all times.
Yeah.
And I'm confident in that now. And I'm confident that that there's a really faithful creator who's like, hey, I love you, kiddo. And I'm in your story with you. So I'm kind of like, okay, if this really bad thing happens, that's okay. And, you know, to me, I even have an expanded version of resolution, because my resolution is not just temporal. My resolution is eternal. So it's the idea that like my experience on earth, even if it doesn't like unfold or repair the way or get redeemed the way that I think it should be here, there's a redemption that transcends this earth experience. So there's a settledness inside of me. It's like, okay, well, this will come full circle at some point. But I'm resolved inside of that because I'm connected to something bigger than me, and I'm connected to a lifetime that transcends my earth life experience. And I think a lot of people that are only really connected to earth life experience, because it's so small and temporal, there's only a finite versus an infinite amount of time to resolve stuff. There's a finite amount, and they're like, oh my gosh, like if I don't get it resolved in this amount of time, it's never going to be resolved. Right. And that's one of the biggest lies that we have is, like you said, I'm never going to be okay. I'm never going to get resolved is another way to put that even.
Yeah.
And so in order to begin to shatter our fears inside of our lives, no matter what, we're going to talk about the 9 like common ones, but in order to conquer them, like right here, this is what Abby's saying, there has to be a connection both intellectually and emotionally to love, and a love that's grander than our own capacity for love. It's grander than the people's love around us, but it's also connecting, like being able to be receptive of that love on every level, whether it be from a standpoint of an eternal creator, or it comes down to, can I receive the love from my spouse, from my partner, from my friends, from my family? Am I someone, I was talking to someone the other day who has a lot of pain inside of their life, and a lot of triggers around that pain. And a big thing that I challenged mom is like, I don't think you know how to receive love. So it doesn't matter how many people or what expression that you get from God comes and meets you with love, however that happens, like there's nowhere for it to land. There's not a landing strip.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was so absolutely foundational for me was in order to go through all these fears that was happening, is I was beginning to learn how to become a good receiver of love. Being present with the moments that people were kind and gentle and patient with me, being present with the beautiful gifts. Like gratitude is actually a way of being present with the love that's available.
Right.
Like gratitude is an awareness of the goodness of life that's right in front of you. And it's saying, I'm going to absorb the gift that this is.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I look at our first year of marriage, like when we got into that, I quit working. And one of my greatest fears was not working because I believed I was going to be destitute if I wasn't working. Like my life would spiral out of control.
Yep.
Another fear is that I would not have money. Like all my money would be spent, which it was.
Yep.
To last drop. Like I was out of control. It was fear of like losing control.
Yep.
Right. And all of a sudden I had untethered from my illusion of control, which was I can have a job and I can make money and that will make me okay.
Right.
But I was constantly tormented still. I lived in constant anxiety. I didn't have more peace. I could work 80-hour weeks consistently and still not have enough financially to make me come to feel safe.
Yeah. I mean, I remember reading an article where Will Smith talked about laying awake at night because of his fear of losing money. And I remember
because he'd gained all of it and then he had a fear of losing it.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, oh, there's not like, because I used to think there's a number that I will feel safe at.
Right.
There's a number that then I will feel like set up and comfortable and protected. And every number that I have been like, well, if I made this much and then I made that much and my fear, that never silenced the fear.
Right.
But when we face fears, the beautiful thing is when you face fear and you move through it, you actually gain confidence that you can face, you actually gain grit.
Yeah.
Ironically, like you facing your fears of losing all your money and then finding out you were okay when you lost all of your money.
Yeah, I did.
You were okay and you could still thrive.
And I have multiple whammies. I had a terrifying fear of marriage.
Yep.
Because I thought that was going to destroy me. We're 15 years later. We've
destroyed us both, but it also helped us.
It broke us down. It was super painful and difficult to go through, but it didn't leave us destitute. What it's actually done is it's built grit inside of us, resilience inside of us. It's brought some of the most beautiful parts of us. It's called for the most beautiful parts of us to emerge out of us. Or get a divorce. Right. And so there on top of marriage, then there was living with going back and working for my dad.
Yep.
And the idea of living with my parents.
Yep.
And within a year and a half, just a little over a year and a month or something, within a year and a month of us getting married, all those things happen.
Yep. All your biggest fears.
All of it. I'm suddenly living in my parents' basement with my wife as a married man.
You've lost all of your money.
I have no money whatsoever. And
which is why we're living in your parents' house.
Working for him again.
Yep. The thing you said you'd never do.
Because I was convinced. I watched him and mom's marriage start falling apart when they got, when he went and worked for his dad.
Yep.
And then they felt trapped. And then it felt like they never got out of the thing that they were trapped in. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, fuck, now I'm trapped. Like this is the beginning of the end of everything. And what I was slowly realizing through it all is that it was an invitation to get out of an enormous lie that had been wired inside of me.
Yeah.
A lie that said that I was fragile, a lie that said I was powerless, the lie that said I was incapable, a lie that said I was all alone in this world to make it, a lie that said, I can't change my marriage, I can't change my future, going back to the powerlessness. I can't change the future, I can't change my marriage. Things happen to me. Like all these lies just start getting confronted head on and I'm faced with choices. Like first and foremost, can I come alive right in this? Can I actually if I live in my parents' basement the rest of my life with my wife.
This is what people don't realize. This is how I work with my clients on fears. I'm like, well, tell me what the worst case scenario is. You live with your parents in the basement for the rest of your life. Can you, so I make them think through what the fear is and then can you come alive in that? What power do you still have to love your life?
Yep.
And what did you decide?
Well, not only that, but can I come alive working with my dad? And so I remember I tell this story, but we were working on doing some electrical in the back of a bar. It was like a Thursday afternoon or some midweek afternoon. And I'm sitting putting a breaker in the breaker box and I realize that I'm joyful. I'm happy. I'm content. I have a sense of contentment. And I had surrendered the idea that I would ever have influence in the world, because one of the things that I was chasing in my heart was influence, because I felt like this, like there's a design inside of me to influence people, whether or not I have notoriety in that doesn't matter, but influence. And I was like, maybe all the influence I'll have is just loving Abby well and loving my parents well and working through stuff within our small community that's in this very tiny town.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that's it. I love this. I have food on the table. I have connection to my wife. I am like finding things out about myself and about her. And that is enough. Like I found life to be enough when there was no promise of anything bigger than that.
I love that.
And I think that a lot of people, again, they're looking for that external thing to solve their fear. Like maybe when I arrive at this destination, I don't
have this great career, when I become famous, when I have the right opportunities open for me, when enough people acknowledge my significance.
I don't feel more special now, like when I can add up numbers of how many people I've influenced in one-on-one consulting or in podcast stuff. I don't even give a shit about that stuff. Like I care about it in the sense of it's another aspect of an expression of something that I love, but I don't draw any personal worth or value from it in the sense of like, this makes me more worthy or more valuable. And I don't draw more life from it. Like, it's not like I feel more alive because I'm like, I feel really content whether or not I do this, but I feel drawn to want to create.
Yeah.
And that's fun to create.
Right. Which you're talking about having inspiration that's not built on fear.
Correct.
Like you're like, I'm inspired.
Or value.
I'm inspired about the things that I feel innately inside of me. I'm not driven by needing to prove that I have worth and significance.
Yep, completely.
It's a hard thing to do. Honestly, there's so much. I think for me, I had a huge fear of never doing anything with my life, of never being great in my life, of never, I grew up as a Christian where they tell you that you're supposed to change the world. As young as possible. Change the entire world.
It was no small order.
And everybody is supposed to do that, which is just a lot of intense pressure. So I remember feeling that pressure for a long time and then having so much fear, like I'll never do anything. I'll never be anything. And I just remember this moment of feeling like, oh, if I didn't have fear about this, I could just settle into the moment and I could relax and continue to take each step that's in front of me, but I could just enjoy the step that's in front of me instead of being panicked about where the path was leading and how I would get to where I needed to go. I could actually just kind of flow on the river with it. Yeah. And it's been really, and this is one of the beautiful things about facing your fears is you can get liberated by fear. Like you can get liberated from fear by going through fear. Yeah. So I remember when I quit, I used to speak all the time. I traveled and spoke a couple times a month for a few years and loved it. Honestly, I really enjoyed it. And
it was building a lot of notoriety and influence.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was becoming more and more known doing it. I had a lot of favor. I was getting, exciting opportunities. And I decided to quit. My body got really, I got really sick. So I decided to quit. But when I decided to quit, there's obviously the grief. I think I felt wildly out of control in the sense of like, I don't feel like I'm choosing this. I feel like my body's choosing it for me. And that was really sad. And then it like switched over into this beautiful thing of like all of the pressure to be something or do something or perform or all of it just melted off. Yeah. And there became this like freedom from the fear of who I'm supposed to be. And I remember the first year after as I was quitting, a lot of the grief coming up, a lot of the fear coming up, I would see people on social media and I'd feel constantly like, I should be doing more with my life. I should be working harder or whatever, and I couldn't. And that fear of I'm failing, I'll never be who I'm supposed to be. And as I embraced the journey, I kind of got to this place where I quit thinking about the future, where I just was like, actually right now, Like I'm finding ways to come alive right now in this season with whatever I'm doing. And the pressure of who I should be or what my life should look like or how I should get there, all of that like melted away. And now it feels so liberating. And I remember I just recently had birthday dinner with this girl that I work with. She's in her early 20s. And she was like, what do you see for my life? And what do you think? And she started talking. You could tell she had so much anxiety about where she was going to go and who she was going to become and if she was ever going to become something. And I just felt like so delighted at my ability to be like, you're fine. You're fine. Like you don't even have to worry about it. You can figure out how to love life now. If you figure out how to love life now, you're going to love life the rest of your life. Don't wait for whatever you think success is. Don't wait for whatever you think opportunity is that you need. Don't wait for this thing. Love your life right now, and you'll love your life the rest of your life.
Yeah. I think that was something that Paul Young did really well when everything got stripped away from him and he bankrupted, lost his house, was living in a 900 square foot house with like 6 kids and his wife. And it was just like, I'm just loving this life right here. And it forever decided how he would love life regardless of the ebbs and flows of things that would happen.
Yeah, there's a liberation that can happen when you lose things or you face fears or the thing that you're so scared about you face and you realize that you're okay. Like going back to Courtney, her dad actually died and she did realize she was okay.
Yeah.
And there's a power. She actually became empowered through that season to see that she was okay, that she could face hard things. A huge chunk of fear broke off. You gain confidence. I've seen in my own life that every time I face a fear, I feel more like a badass.
Yeah.
And more like I can do this. It builds self-worth to not run from things, but to face them. And then you can conquer.
Again, peace is an inside job. And the inside job that's happening is a rewiring of a belief system. The majority of all the fears that we have are all just rooted in broken belief systems. They're just lies about our identity, lies about our past, our present, and our future. It's all just lies. It's imagined scenarios. It's beliefs about love being removed, which I want to talk a little bit about the 9 fears. The major fear of rejection or love being removed or disconnection is really the foundation to all of it. It's like the foundational fear.
Yes.
Right. I'm scared of being rejected, love being removed, or this disconnection. This is driving like all kinds of fears throughout everything else.
Oh yeah. Like I'm scared that I'll do something and you won't think I'm worthy, or I'll do something and you'll think I'm stupid, or I'll do something.
Right.
Like whether it's I need a career because that's what I feel like is lovable. Right. Or it's I need to be in control because that's what I feel like is lovable. Or it's I need to help you so much because that's what I feel like is lovable. Like we all have a drive to belong. This is why Brene Brown blew up, because she's talking about innately we want to belong.
Yeah, I mean that's why that's why people are so terrified of vulnerability, right? That's down the journey of like, oh, I'm actually scared you're going to reject me.
Yes.
I'm not, disconnection is going to happen in this relationship. You're going to see the truth of my being that I believe, the lie that I believe about my truth of my being, which is I'm a piece of shit. Like that's deeply wired within the human condition with shame, is that I am garbage.
I'm bad. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. There's something wrong with me.
And
there's
everyone's going to see that.
Yes.
If these things that I have built around me, if all of a sudden start crumbling, my control that I have, the job that I have, the title that I have, the position that I have in these people's hearts and minds, like, but love, if it isn't sourced in people's opinions, and it's not, it's actually sourced in a higher source, then it becomes this thing. It's like, okay, well, people don't like me, or people have a problem with me, or people have a judgment about me. All right. That really doesn't matter because they're not my source. So I can fail and it's like when we talk about like even our course, Life Consulting Masterclass, our year-long course, like we talk to our students about the idea that we are messy. We're going to make mistakes this entire time. If my identity is in being some perfect leader, then I'm going to get crushed every time somebody is frustrated about something. But when I'm already settled, like I'm lovable, this isn't a reflection of whether or not I'm lovable. This may be a reflection of something that I need to grow in or learn, or this might be a reflection of their own personal emotions, but it doesn't speak about anyone's value. Well, then I can blaze a trail and conquer anything in that.
Yeah.
Nothing's stopping me at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can go through all the other fears, but honestly, I think this fear is found in all the other ones. Like
somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah. I think a major one is fear of loss.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. If you've gone through a major loss in your life once, right, or even if you have just watched other people go through major losses, you see what it does, and then you're terrified of the next thing happening. And that fear can get wired into your body where logically you're not even afraid of loss, but like body wise, you start having anxiety. I know for me, I went through a lot of loss about 6 years ago. And, on a regular basis, if there's even a hint or a smell of something that feels like transition, my body locks down and is like, no, I can't go through another loss. It's like once you have the trauma of loss stamped into you. And like I said, it can either be that you've gone through loss, like maybe your parent died. And so you have a constant fear of like, what if the company changes? What if this friendship ends? What if this, like, there's that fear of loss? Or maybe like for you, you got sick. And then your fear of loss was like, the house is going to burn down, or the fear of loss gets, often is connected. It can also be like, I had a fear of loss from just watching other people go through it.
Well, I think that this is the thing that amplifies a fear of loss. You see someone lose, like, let's just say financial.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, all their money bankrupts and they don't have that. What you watch is the tormenting,
go into depression,
emotions that they have. Right. And so you go, oh no, I don't want to, that's the worst case scenario. I could lose money because I lose the connections that I have with people. Maybe I lose my joy, my peace. Like it's very
because you're saying one equals the other in your head.
Right. Exactly. Where actually a person could lose financially everything they have, and it could be a very peaceful, fun, enjoyable situation. I know that sounds crazy, but you could actually be like, wow, what an adventure. I guess we've lost this and I've accepted that I'm losing this. And what is the next thing inside of my life? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think Paul Young embraced loss.
Right.
Instead of running from it.
Right.
And it is, so there's two things, what we believe something will do to us versus what we have the power to do. And I remember watching that. I watched people go through loss and then they hated their lives. And so again, it just subconsciously stamps in there.
Yeah.
And so you're not thinking through, if I lose a parent, I can find ways to be okay. I can find ways to connect to love. I can find, and like, there's all kinds of painful things that we go through.
Right. You think about like the loss of a spouse. Let's just say a divorce. Divorces are horrible. I mean, there's nothing like, I'm not making light of any type of situation, but if you if you actually believe that there's abundant love on the other side of it. Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't end.
You still have to do grief.
You still have to grieve it. And there was a life that you were living. There's a way that you're living life. Those are all real things. There's pain involved in the side of all of it. But if you have, as part of that equation, like there is beauty on the other side of this. There is another relationship, or there are expressions of me that are going to come alive and come out of me that like there's possibilities for that. Like there's, Paul always talks about the idea that God's a redeeming genius.
I love that.
Redemptive genius. And it's true because...
What a cool name for God. The redemptive genius.
And this idea that God, jumps inside of our messiest, smallest boxes that we've created. And he goes, I'm going to do some redemptive work inside of this that you couldn't see. And it doesn't mean like... I needed to go through that so I could get to this type deal. It's like, no, that's just how cool God is that he'll go, you know what? You didn't need to go through this, but you are going through it. And I'm going to be a redemptive genius in this and clean this mess up for you as you surrender and you humble yourself and allow yourself to just be loved and be chosen. And you allow this divine like interaction to take place, everything can be made new in ways that are better than they were before.
Yeah, we're really talking about learning how to be aware of your internal world.
Right.
And knowing that your internal world can be okay, regardless of your external world, and learning that mastery. Because I'm thinking about when I was sick, being sick didn't mean I had to be hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
There were times where I was sick and I went into deep, deep, dark hopelessness.
Yeah, which also left me with a fear of you getting sick again at the time.
Yeah.
Because again, I saw the emotional state you were in, but that fear dissipated inside of me as I realized like I could be at peace even if she's hopeless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for me, I had to learn I can be this sick and that doesn't mean I have to be this hopeless.
Yeah.
Like I learned I can be this sick and I can find a way to hope and joy in the midst of this.
Yeah.
And so it's that belief, it comes down to looking for in every situation, how am I going to be okay? Like I'm going to always be okay. So I need to look for 5 ways that I'm going to be okay. If I get sick again like that, I'm going to be more connected to resource. I'm going to be better at being present in my body. I'm going to be better at doing things that get me out of fight, freeze, or fawn. I'm going to I have things that I can always look to of like, I'm going to receive love on a deeper level.
Yeah.
But when we equate things in our mind with like, oh, if that ever happens, then it'll take me out. If I ever get sick, then it'll take me out.
Yeah. You know, another fear is the fear of failure, which ultimately I'm scared of failing because again, what are people going to say about me? Love
will be removed.
Yeah. Love will be removed. Even like that even connects to the fear of loss. I'm going to lose. Yep. What am I, as I make a mess over here and I fail this, it means I may lose this connection.
Yeah.
And so you have this fear of loss and fear of failure smashing you in the face.
I'm afraid of looking weak. I'm afraid of looking insignificant. I'm afraid of looking like I don't matter. I'm ultimately scared I'm unlovable. And failure feels like it'll prove to the world I'm unlovable or it'll prove that I'm unworthy.
If I fail, will I lose positions of opportunity that I have? Which is again like, okay, now if I don't have this opportunity, what does that mean?
Yeah. For me, I had a lot of fear of failure and it went, it's easy to self-sabotage when you have fear of failure. It's easier to not try than to fail.
Yeah.
I spent years being like, I just won't try. I won't try to wear cute clothes, so I won't fail if I'm not cute. I won't try to be feminine, so I won't fail if I'm not feminine.
Yeah.
I won't try to be outgoing or like I won't engage my personality where people can see it so that they can't make fun of me. It was that there was so much that I purposefully hid from trying because I didn't want to be seen as a failure.
Totally.
But what that does is it makes your life smaller and smaller and smaller, and you become less and less of who you are. And then when you step out and face it and you're like, you know what, I can fail and I can still be lovable. That's the thing. If we can connect love to all of these things, I can fail and still be lovable and still have worth and still have value.
Yeah.
And I can fail 5 times and get up 6. And I think that's the beautiful thing about dyslexia and ADHD is like, I'm like, yeah, I often fail 5 times.
You can't even say fail right.
I can't even say fail right.
Yeah, totally. I think another one that's major is the fear of being seen or heard.
That one was so big for me. When I was getting ready to, when I was starting speaking, I had terror. And I was afraid of being seen and heard because I was afraid of criticism.
Me too. Well, it's
I didn't
similar to
want
that.
people to see me, or like I didn't want to say things. I didn't want to have a voice. I didn't want to be known because I was like, that opens me up for people to just look at all the things I'm doing wrong and all the things I'm not doing right and all the things that I'm failing at.
Like my flaws inside. Again.
Like that opens me up to being abused, or that opens me up to...
That was me, like, and has been me. And it's, it's one of the reasons that I didn't want to actually do early on video and stuff. One of the reasons. I also just didn't have capacity for that. But I didn't want video because once you get video on the internet, then you open yourself up to a bunch of bullies. And the idea is like, somebody can only bully me as much as I allow them to speak into my worth,
right,
or my value. And if that's, hunkered down in a castle of self-worth where I'm like, oh, my self-worth is all protected. I know who God says I am, and I know who I believe myself to be, and I know that the people around me love me. So forget the rest of the people and their opinions on stuff when it comes with ugly criticisms. Like, they're telling me more. That's something that I learned from Paul Young. He was like, people's criticisms of me tell me more about them than they do about me. I already know me. I already understand me. I have a good perspective of who I am and what my heartbeat is for life and stuff. They're really telling me about their fears, their insecurities, their judgments on life. And that's been something that has deeply woven into my heart so that I can actually move forward in life and go, you know what? I don't have to have a fear of being seen or heard. Mm-hmm. Anybody who's going to chime in, they're telling me a lot more about them than they are about me. I know about me.
Yeah. And honestly, no one changes the world without criticism. And one of the things I learned is like, when I'm not seen and heard, I get criticized too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like when I'm living my small life, the smallest life I could live, people still have judgmental opinions about what I'm doing, if it's right or wrong.
About if it's so small or it's...
And they may or may not understand me. And so I've learned, like, I don't want to limit myself to protect myself from something that is just going to exist. So the best, instead of limiting myself, I used to be like, I'm going to be small. I'm not going to have a voice so that I don't face this. And now instead I'm like, the way to prevent pain from criticism is to build a good relationship with love, not to avoid being seen and heard. The more I build, the more I let love in, the more I choose to receive love, the more I believe love when people say it to me, the more I learn to love myself. Honestly, the more I practice those things, the less the external criticism impacts me. So it's that idea of like, what result are you going after? If you're going after not having the pain of abuse or criticism, don't go after it by hiding. Go after it by finding love.
Yeah.
It's a better result for you.
Yeah, completely. And it's something that I've embraced, like the idea of like, I give everybody permission to have their judgments. Like once we can give people permission, I mean, they're already having it, but we're not giving them permission in our own soul. So it's like in my soul, I've been like, I give you permission to judge me. I give you permission to hate me. I give you permission to disagree with me. I give you permission to think that I'm stupid and foolish. I give you permission to like, let me take up space in your head rent free as you argue with me. Like, I don't care. That's none of my business. But once permission exists, I'm not at war with that, So I just go for it. I jump. Fear of feeling pain.
Oh, this is a big one. All of you Enneagram 7s out there, it's all like, I see this happen all of the time where friends of mine, even me, I'm not saying I don't, I also do it. We do whatever it takes to avoid the pain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we drink or we go have fun or we get really busy.
Fear of feeling the pain I already have that exists within me. Yeah.
Yeah. We get really busy. We're around people constantly. It's the distracting yourself constantly. But the problem is that when pain is driving you, it drives you back towards pain. Right. So if you are avoiding
creating more pain.
Yeah. So like I have this friend who went through a breakup, didn't want to feel the pain of the breakup. So serial dated, date. But every person they dated, like the pain of their breakup was underneath the surface the whole time. Yeah. They kept dating people that were repetitively adding to the pain of the dissociation, the pain of the grief, the pain of not being known, not being seen, not being loved. And eventually the person decided to stop serial dating and face the pain. Yeah. And they just felt grief. And as soon as they did that, the level of pain they were in dramatically decreased.
Totally.
Because when we're running from pain, it is louder. It like grows. It's like a shadow that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And for me, that's been the same thing too. If I can actually stop and turn and face the pain that I am trying to run away from, I often can see, oh, there's a way through this. It's smaller than I thought. I can face this. And so that's a big fear that people have.
Yeah. I think that as a side note, once you become someone that like has deliberately invested in developing emotional health, you realize that like there's an ample box of tools to resolve pain. And again, going back to one of the foundations, which is that concept of love, like when you're connected to love, love begins to resolve things. It's that sense of acceptance says, okay, a lot of my pain over here is because I felt the rejection. I felt the unworthiness. I felt shame about who I am. You know, I felt judged. But like when love comes in, that sense of kindness and tenderness and understanding and care, you're like, oh, you can't remove that from me. So pain just starts getting a resolve all of a sudden. You're like, okay, bring it on. I give pain. I give myself permission to feel my pain and to face oncoming pain that happens in the future.
Next, fear of being misunderstood. Honestly, the way that I challenge this, and I still have the fear come up, but the way that has helped me the most is reconciling with me.
Yeah.
Do I understand me?
myself? Yeah.
Do I believe in me? Do I understand my intentions? Do I have compassion for myself? The reconciling within. I remember one time I got accused of something I didn't do. And I had so much shame over it. And I remember the moment it changed is when I was like, I looked at it and I was like, but what do I think about me?
Right.
I know I didn't do this.
Right.
I know my intentions were good. And I got on my own team.
Yeah.
Emotionally. And then all of the other voices faded away. I didn't even have to prove to everybody else. Because I was like, I believe me. I understand me. And this is, in Living Fully Live, we spend a lot of time teaching people how to reconcile their relationship with themselves.
Yeah.
That is the most important.
Once that gets resolved, I've seen more breakthrough in my office, like people who have had decades of problems and 5 to 15 years of counseling that didn't get resolved for them because they didn't know how to get reconciliation in the relationship with themselves.
Yeah.
And that's one of the foundational things that I would do in my office. And people are like, oh my God, it changed everything. It rewired my entire foundation, which is, again, one of the things that we've done in Living Fully Alive is help people rewire that foundation so that they're like, oh, from this point forward, the effects of all these other things, past, present, and future, all of a sudden start getting resolution and they become so minimized.
Yeah. And I mean, like, obviously I still have fear of being misunderstood.
Yeah.
But I have resilience because I know that being misunderstood doesn't mean that I have to be abandoned or alone. It doesn't mean I get disconnected from love. That's why I think that's the fear that drives everything. Because now I know I can love me and I can be on my team.
And that's when any of these fears pop up for me that come in, I go back to like my foundation, like you're talking about. I'm like, okay, this is coming up over here because there's a part of me that doesn't understand how loved I am. I'm not loving myself in this area. I'm not receiving love in this area. So I need to get myself rebalanced with the truth of love and the truth of my being inside of that. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's not really scary anymore. Okay, I can do that. Again, facing these things liberates you to be authentically yourself.
Yes.
Because when these fears aren't like...
When you're trying to be understood all of the time, you're not your most authentic self. And you're afraid of people misunderstanding you, afraid of people not seeing you or hearing you. You do all these weird coping mechanisms that aren't you. There's so many people that are afraid to have a voice, so they either don't have a voice or they overly dominate to have a voice. And the most authentic version of us is when we are not being driven by our fear.
Right. And when you're not being driven by fear, it's the most present we'll ever be. You're actually in your skin. You're in your being inside of your gut where it's like, hey, I'm down here and I'm just...
You're connected to yourself.
Yes, I'm connected to myself. And so you're present in moments and life becomes so much more enjoyable when you're there. You're not surviving moments. You're not in some fantasy world dissociating. You're like, I'm here with this moment. Anyways, how about fear of not being secure?
Well, I kind of want to so we have 3 fears left. Fear of being hurt, which I think so many people in relationships do.
Fear of being hurt versus feeling pain are 2 different things. Like feeling pain can be a pain it's a pain within us, and fear of actually having to feel that thing that's within us. Yeah. But then there's that fear of hurt, which is that something is going to now come and smash into me. Right.
And honestly, it feels like something's going to steal my belonging. Something's going to steal my security and love. Something's going to make it. And for a lot of us, it's something's going to happen to me that will make me have to hate myself, that will make me realize I really am bad, that will prove that I am unworthy.
Yeah.
So that's this is why having a belief in a source of love that is unconditional has helped so much. But even then, it's easy to, when you've had a lot of pain and you've had a lot of hurt, it's hard to not imagine that that's going to keep happening.
Well, the thing is too, again, until we repair the relationship with ourselves, even believing that there's a source of love there, we deflect it and we go, okay, I'm not going to be a mirror that reflects it. I'm going to be a wall that deflects the love. And so there's something about when we begin to become a mirror and go, all right, I believe that there is an unrelenting love that's available outside of me, that exists outside of humanity, that is trying to overtake me in good ways. And I'm now going to take that belief system and I'm going to apply it to me. I'm going to become somebody who champions myself and reflects this in the ways that I think about myself and my past, present, and my future.
Yeah.
Speaking of future.
So fear of not being secure and fear of the future. I thought those both went kind of together. Fear of like, I'm not going to have what I need. I'm not going to have the money I need. I'm not going to have the house that I need. I'm not going to have the love that I need. I'm not going to have. So that security is a really big fear for a lot of people.
Right.
I have to take care of myself. No one else will take care of me. And then the fear of the future. And both of those to me are very tied. Like, what is going to happen in my future?
Yeah.
Am I going to be
a falsely imagined scenario too, again, that doesn't exist. It's all fantasy that we create. We're not guaranteed that we won't die tomorrow. Right. But when we get present with today and we just go, okay, I'm here in this moment. I think that part of love, part of one of the ways of receiving love is being present with the moment in front of us.
Yeah. And
fear is such a future thing. Fear is never a present thing. It's always a future thing. If I feel this pain, if I get rejected, if there is loss, it's all a projected thing out here. And there's not the solutions that are necessary for those problems available to us yet.
Yeah.
So it's not like, well, I don't know. I haven't lost my job yet. So I don't have solutions, and I'm not going to come up with solutions for a job that's been lost until the job has been lost. And I'm like, okay, what do I do about that in this moment? How do I feel about that?
Yeah.
How do I bounce back from that? And so we end up putting ourselves in situations where we're overwhelmed. We're deeply overwhelmed because we're trying to come up with solutions to future situations that haven't even happened.
Well, I was thinking for me, like one of the things that has worked for me the most, and it took me a long time to get here. Like I said, I always believe I'm like, I need something external to fix my fear. There is a way I'll feel secure if this, and this happen, or this is what I need to fix my fear of the future. And what I really need is to be able to get into my body, be present, and feel safe now.
Yeah.
Like it will regulate my whole body. The feeling of fear is a body nervous system fear. It's an emotion that is connected to your nervous system and your body. So if I can get my body and nervous system connected to a different emotion, like what we think is, let's say that my work world is going crazy and I am like, or let's just say like the world, like what's happening with inflation? What's that going to be? And so my mind says I have to come up with a solution for inflation. I have to come up with a solution for my finances, or I have to ruminate over everything happening so that I won't be caught off guard. None of that is the solution to fear. The solution to fear is me actually connecting to safety right now.
Right.
So I remember when I started this, I would be like in a session with my counselor. I had PTSD, which is like literally like huge fear spikes, right? That's what post-traumatic stress is. It's like your body is having huge reactions to fear. And so I remember I'd be in a session and it'd be like, well, do you feel safe now? And all my brain would think was like, well, I don't know, because I don't feel safe because there's this and this and this. This could happen. This could happen, or this could happen, or this could happen. And so I had to learn to work on like, well, but like literally just be fully present. So like right now, is anybody trying to murder me right now? No. Is anyone trying to break into my house right now? No. Is anybody trying to criticize me right now to my face? No. Like, so I had to learn to be like, in this exact moment, I am safe. And then I just feel, what does it feel like to be safe? Something as little as like, I would think about my body in the chair and I'd be like, the chair is fully holding my body up. Like, I'm not having to hold my body up. The chair is fully supporting me. The chair is fully helping me feel held. And so I would just focus on that feeling much longer than it felt like was comfortable, to think through, what does it feel like to feel safe? What does it feel like to be held? What does it feel like to be supported? The truth is I'm supported in life, just like this chair is holding me up. Getting into those moments of safety. Paul Young used to always say, like, don't future trip. Like, you can't future trip. You don't have grace for that. You only have grace for the today. He's been telling us that for 15 years.
Yeah.
And it's only been in the past little bit that I've started to recognize that in the present, when even just like things like going for a walk today, and I could feel the sun on my skin and the wind, and like I have the chance to just like not even think about that, or to actually take it in and be like, right now, I feel safe.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm feeling kissed by the sun and the wind. Right now, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Not what am I going to do about this? And how is this going to work out? And how is this literally meditating on that sensation in my body. And what that does is it pulls my body out of fight or flight for the other situations.
Yeah, totally. I think that we're getting towards wrapping it up here, but being present with ourselves begins the process of being able to be present with love, right? Where there's self-awareness that starts happening. We get to face the things and be honest with, like, what are the fears that are driving my life? And I know what they are. I know how they're driving my relationships. I know how they're driving the way that I do business. I know that I know what they are that's driving, like my future and everything. So if we can get in the present, we can become aware, we can begin to face these things, and we can begin to dismantle the lies that are driving them. Like, where is this all coming from? Oh yeah. Deeply at the foundation of all of this is, I do not know how to receive love. I do not know how to connect to love. I do not know. I really don't know a creator that is all loving source. I don't know how to reflect love into myself. Like, to even get that word down and figure out what that practically looks like towards myself and towards others. And like, is a concept in itself that takes time to just like build and discover. So, if you guys have been listening to this and you're thinking, I want to know how to do that, Living Fully Alive 2023 on
4-month course
is a 4-month course. And we take people in a deep dive on helping them to connect to themselves, helping them to face these fears inside of themselves, and realizing that we're not alone. Like, we are all universally have these fears that are keeping us disconnected from love. And it is a rewiring of the way that we relate to life, ourselves, each other. And it's a really beautiful process that we've seen so many people go on. If you're interested in participating in that, you can go to Justin and Abi, that's abi.com, click on courses, Living Fully Alive, and you can check out. And at the checkout, early bird 2023 at the checkout, where it says have a coupon, you can throw it in there, save $100.
1 week.
And if you pay up front versus payment plan, you save another $100. So you can save up to $200 on the entire course doing it that way. So 1 week now you can get in on that. And really, like, this is a year, like, even like Abi said earlier, there's like talks of a recession. Like, do you want to keep letting every life event keep driving you? Like, oh, it's now the presidency, or it's voting time, or it's like,
COVID,
it's Russia. It's like, there's always going to be shit that's going on around us. It's never going to stop. There's always going to be wars and rumors of wars that will not end. There's always going to be situations. Yeah. There's always going to be situations of poverty and all kinds of stuff. It happens. But can you actually come to a place where you are a person that is unshakable? Because your foundation is so rooted inside of love that you are so fully unmovable that you become like almost like a covering for all
of righteousness, for using Bible terms,
for everybody around you, where all of a sudden people lean in and go, oh, I can tell by that person's life, they're stable no matter how big the storm is.
Yeah.
that it gives me vision for what life can be like for me and changes the framework of how I live.
Yeah.
So all that to say, I loved having this conversation with you, Abby.
You did.
I love getting to face fears with you inside of our life.
We've faced a lot of fears
faced
together.
a lot of fears.
It creates so much confidence.
And we're still facing them.
And you know what's fun is it really helps you with when young people come to me with all their fears. Yeah. I get to say like, oh, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. And you can feel it when somebody has been through it. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so cool. Hey, if you've been impacted by this, share it with somebody. Like share it on social media, share it with somebody personally.
So many people, that's how they found us.
Yeah, it's because people keep sharing it. Like we don't do like marketing promotions and stuff. It's just word of mouth. And what happens is we build a tribe of people that has like a value for this culture. And it's really cool seeing that tribe of people come together.
And even if you don't want to do LFA, go to our website and enter our mailing list so you can hear all of the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
JustinandAbi.com.
And you can also go sign up for our free ebook on there on the main page.
Yeah.
7 steps.
From happy to
crappy to happy in 7 steps.
I said happy to crappy. That'd be a horrible book.
Yeah, it would be. All right. Hey, everybody. Love y'all. Peace out.
Bye.
Go away. Bye-bye.